card games and comics fans, welcome to another episode of the Weekly Wednesday Warrior, the show where I know the title of. We are here in bright, and it's not bright and sunny today.
No, it's very dreary.
We are here in very dreary and sad Port Ewan, New York. It is, we don't do the date on this show. No, we don't need the date. I don't know when I'm going to post this. Woo! What do we got, Chris?
Today we're going to be talking about Titans, number 3. I'm not going to bring them all up.
No.
Nightwing 106 and Wonder Woman 1. This is like such a shock, but we'll talk about it when we get there.
Wonder Woman's the best book this week.
Oh, yeah.
Why?
There is like a gap, to me at least.
Yeah, and let me go ahead and do some honorable mentions. We'll pay the rent a little bit in a way. My first one is Something Epic 5, which I should be holding to you guys right here. I'll just pull up a page for this one for once. I don't know why I didn't grab that. I even took notes for the thing, man. Simon Kudransky is doing a great job on the book and all.
Yep.
I just thought this was his weakest issue so far. Maybe he's going somewhere with it.
Was that last week?
That could also have been last week's book. Did we do a Weekly Wednesday War last week?
No.
All right, that was probably last week. Chris has an honorable mention.
We got World's Finest 19.
Yeah.
We've talked about every issue of this book so far that came out while we were recording the series. I like this book as much as the last one.
I got Nick Cage on my cover.
Drawn by Dan Mora.
Yeah,
So
Nick
you're going to
Cage.
get Nick Cage on your cover, get Dan Mora on it.
Drawn by Dan Moore. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
I took notes on this one too. I had intentions of reviewing this one as well, and we're not because the other books are better. But I don't. You know what it is? My second note here is I miss Dan Mora.
Yeah.
This book's a hard swallow when Dan Mora isn't around, just because I don't think that Mark Waid is writing to me as much as he is writing to like Silver Age fans, or like Chris. But there's some cool stuff in the book. It's still like consistent with the rest of the series
For sure.
It's continuing that storyline with like young Superman, young Batman, and stuff.
Yep. Jax this like Kryptonian prisoner.
Yeah.
Phantom Zone
But
prisoner.
if it was drawn by Dan Mora, it would have been a lot better.
Yep. That's
No offense.
that's just Dan Mora books though.
No offense to Travis Moore or whoever's doing the art on this one.
Yeah. If I saw Travis Moore in another book, I would be not disappointed.
Yeah, is he the guy, or is it Travis Scott? Travis Scott's the guy doing Titans.
Right.
But I think that's about all of our honorable mentions, which is good because we should move on because these books are going to be chopped up. We're going to chop these up.
Yeah.
All right, for the life of me, I don't remember what happens in Titans. I hope you have fun. Good. Oh, yeah, here's some covers. We both got the Jen Bartel, Wally West cover, mostly because I didn't even bother to ask Chris this time. I know he's a Wally West
I
mark,
love Wally.
so I knew he'd go for it. Also, Jen Bartel's really good at design.
Yeah.
And like she makes figures look good and stuff. That's definitely where she shines. So to have a variant where that's pretty much all she's doing.
Good shoes.
Yeah, Jen Bartel's great. Credits to
In
Jen
perspective
Bartel.
too, to some extent, getting that real heel in there.
Yeah, and it doesn't show any colorist or any inker, so she's doing the whole thing, folks.
Yeah.
Good stuff. But we've got Titans. That I start off. My first note is Beast Boy Boom, so it's all coming back to me again.
Okay.
They're trying to break into
The Church of Eternity, which is the successor to the Church of Blood.
And it kind of comes out of nowhere, too. Like, we've been in Night Terrors for now 3 months, 4 months, who knows, and 2 months. And now I'm expecting some sort of a restart, but also this book is on issue 3.
Yeah,
so not
it's
possible
hard for
restart.
them.
So it's kind of weird. It comes out of nowhere with Nightwing and Beast Boy team up, open, right?
Right.
Breaking into the thing. And Beast Boy asks a really dumb question, right? Kind of relevant to the plot, even if it comes back around. He's like, why didn't we just boom tube in here?
Yeah.
And Nightwing's like, well, it's loud.
Yeah.
Beast Boy's like, oh, right.
Yeah, very strange.
I love it. No, I don't think it's strange at all, because to me, this is Tom Taylor going,
Beast Boy's dumb.
I wasn't going to use that language. Or maybe I was. But it's Tom Taylor acknowledging, like, hey, don't forget, this is Gar. He's not the secret. He runs around as an elephant half the time.
Right. And also, in a teen book, you do have to flanderize your characters a little bit for their personalities to be loud.
It's got some laughs in here too, right?
Right. Not many of these characters are inherently funny. A lot of them have like quips in reaction to scenes.
Yeah.
Gar has a sense of humor.
Yeah.
So we need to play that up.
Yeah, I liked it. This is a note that is positive. I'm not, I think that was really well timed, appropriate, and also what did it give the audience too? Why didn't we use the boom tube? Why didn't we use this full method?
Yeah, it's
why did we literally break and enter into this church?
Very Jim Shooter Marvel era. Explain and re-explain their powers, their capabilities. If you start on this issue, you're going to be a little lost because we're in medias res, but you're going to know what these guys can do at least.
We got a cold intro, so we got to warm it up a little bit, right?
And it's been a couple months,
I'm serious.
As the new reader, you might have forgotten.
Yeah, this is as cold as it gets, sort of intros in a way. But we are in this B&E. You got the rest of the summary here.
Sure. I'm going to read my actual summary when we're done.
Okay.
But what actually happens is Beast Boy and Nightwing, they're having a little conversation. Beast Boy's kind of optimistic about the Church of Eternity. He's like, maybe they've changed. They walk in on a scene. They're sacrificing someone. There's a pool of blood. It's the same shit. Right. Same shit, different story.
Literally, it's the same brother blood stuff they expect, right? So they go
and they're fighting these cultists. They mention, usually brother blood bathes in Tridon's blood to gain enhanced powers. They have changed a little bit. Now everyone bathes in his blood. So they're fighting these cultists. The Titans decide to show up because Nightwing radios them shit's gone bad.
Why are they fighting the cultists? Because they're trying to sacrifice a woman.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
And Gar too, probably, but that's the main reason. There's a scene. Wally is still supposed to stay back. They're really hesitant, especially because now Victor Stone Cyborg has ID'd that Wally's going to die in the next 48 hours.
Right. So so Beast Boy and Nightwing, they descend upon the blood, and then they boom tube everybody else in.
Yes.
And
the surprise has gone out the window.
Yeah. I just don't think you mentioned that they boom tubed everybody in. We got everybody now.
There's a scene before that, and it's just establishing Wally's going to die soon.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So we move that plot ahead, but also for the first time, Wally is engaged in the action because he has been he's been sidelined throughout the series.
Yeah.
So they're fighting these guys. They dispatch them pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And really, why Wally is there is because he's surveying this whole place, and we don't even notice. There's a panel of him going around the cultists almost.
He also refuses to be sidelined.
Yes. So running around the cultists, he finds Brother Eternity tied up. They find Garth. They immediately they ask him hey, "Are you all right, man?" He's like, "Yep, let's fight." We skip that shit.
Wally does all the detective work, basically.
So
saves us a whole half issue of what's really going on.
And now that Wally and Raven and Starfire, our heavy hitters, are here, the cultists go down in 3 or 4 pages. The action's solid, but it's just very quick.
It moves.
And they make sure Garth is okay. They're like, "Hey, are you in your right mind?" He's like, "Yes, I genuinely believe in their cause,
Yeah.
I am an ocean dweller. We kind of hate the land because we despise what they've done to the earth. I agree with Brother Eternity's plan to take everyone off the planet."
So Brother Eternity is one of the things that Flash finds scanning the whole area, right? He's tied up somewhere because the cultists turned on him.
Yeah.
And he's or at least from what we know, he's really trying to spearhead this movement of we're trying to leave the earth and stuff. Tempest walks out of nowhere.
Yeah.
After all it's done, right? I might be repeating what you said. I just want to point out the bullet points here, mate, that's important, right? Tempest is there, right? We've been trying to figure out why this guy since issue 1 has been not joining us. And when you rule over the oceans on some level, you have to realize that's a much larger part of the earth than the land masses that exist here. So this is a person who has a very interesting perspective. And he's siding with Brother Eternity in this case when the Titans and Nightwing have done nothing but environmental protection for the past even in Nightwing there's been a bunch of environmental protection themed. Tempest is still siding with Brother Blood and stuff.
Yeah, because he's going a step further. While the Titans are they're taking action, Brother Eternity's taking radicalized action.
And he still thanks the Titans for their help because he wasn't tied up by crazy cultists and stuff. There's something to be beaten up more about this in a moment. And of course, Brother Eternity, our villain, is not completely lack thereof guilt. But in any case, it seems to the Titans that he is.
Yes.
That he is being honest. And he's even got Tempest to vouch for him. And this all happens in this church.
It's
all at
mostly
once.
because Tempest vouches for him, because there's like a note. Raven is like, I can sense Garth's emotions. He is genuinely into this. We cannot sense what Brother Eternity is thinking.
Yeah.
She's an empath. She can't get any read on this guy.
Yeah, like a robot, maybe. You know,
Yeah,
that's
we'll see.
probably what Raven would say about a robot. Is
Yes.
that I can't understand its intentions. So you don't know what's
Which is a little off-putting, but they're giving Garth the benefit of the doubt because of Raven's read, too.
Yeah. And that's another of my note is Nightwing and Garth usually give people the benefit of the doubt.
Right.
And he even says it. I think Garth even says it that they usually give people the benefit of the doubt before they take down like Brother Blood. But Brother Blood, those people are the worst. You can anticipate the worst from them. So like the Titans, I can't. It's hard to justify a break and enter, right? But this is all. It all works out almost immediately as soon as you walk in there and stuff. So it's okay. But they're going to continue to give them the benefit of the doubt here in a way.
Yeah. Do they just leave? I think that's
They're,
what happens.
they're leaving, boom tubing out as they're
Yeah.
as Nightwing's like, so did you get any reads on him? And Raven's like, not really anything to do anything with.
And I think that's the last time we see the Titans.
Like, what does it cut to, like Brother Eternity or
Yeah,
something
and he's
like
talking to Garth and like, oh, I'm lying. We go back to Titan's Tower. Wally, while surveying the place, found this weird egg thing and brought it back to Titan's Tower.
that? Yeah, that's true.
Unbeknownst of telling anyone else. We cut to Brother Eternity and Garth.
Is
They notice the thing is gone.
either an egg thing or a meteorite.
It's a meteorite.
Yeah.
You're totally right.
Well, it looks like an egg thing though too. Like,
Yes,
could
but
be-
that's what they say.
could be both an egg thing and a meteorite.
And like Brother Eternity's like, I set this whole thing up. We had to like get this bait and switch going.
They cut back to
And he's like, now we have to fight the Titans because they've taken this meteorite.
Yeah.
And he like reaches into his mouth or like opens his mouth, and like the final page is this like grotesque elongated face of both
I'll
him
pull it up. There's no way to
and Garth.
describe it properly. Kind
And
of
there's
looks
like
they're
centipede legs coming out of his mouth,
Yeah.
and he's like pushing them into Tempest's mouth.
Yeah.
It's gross stuff.
I'm sure the page is up by now, but it just kind of looks like they're making out with like seaweed tongues.
Yes.
Is what I would describe
And
it as.
my summary that I wrote, even though I remember all this, I just wrote, the Church of Eternity is bad. Church of Eternity is good. The Church of Eternity is bad. That's all I needed.
That's pretty much it. Actually, you should have opened with that. Yeah, I don't know that I can beat that up any more than you just did in 3 sentences. That's pretty funny. You know what I will say, though, the rest of my notes is that obviously the Brother Eternity's blank feelings was an they want you to elaborate on that, and then you get this. There was a Tamaranian beat in the prior issue. Also we had 2 months again. If you haven't read the prior issue, you're going to be a little mixed up.
It's
here,
almost 3 because
you
have to account for the hiatus and just in between issues.
Yeah, and then the couple weeks it took for this to come out this month. So the beat was that there was somebody was taking down giant land masses that were giving oxygen to the earth, like rainforests and stuff. And one of the places that they got, they went and did detective work. They pulled stuff from the crime scene, and the dirt showed energy bursts from Tamaranian in nature. And so now we've got this meteorite that we just pulled from these dudes. Have to assume probably Tamaranian in nature.
Yeah, we're doing some space
Probably
stuff.
doing some. And then we saw some weird, maybe alien creatures, tiny alien creatures, maybe brainwashing in nature. Probably alien, probably Tamaranian in nature. Also, a mention of Trigon from the Brother Blood. So we got that plot not going anywhere, right? All right, what else we got? We got that Tamaranian fungus. We call it. I said fungus. You said egg. We finally said meteorite. And then Flash is still dead.
Yes, by a bullet. That's the thing I would like to mention, because we have all these beats. We're setting up all these major Titans
much
beats.
stuff going
None
on.
of these guys are assassins. None of these guys use guns.
Very strange.
None of these guys even use like assassination tactics.
Yes. And this moves fast, and the reason for it is Tom Taylor in issue 1 gave us 48 hours.
Yeah.
Like, this whole plot is going to be probably resolved in 6 issues over 2 days. We're going to find out what happens to Flash. And then I bet the next 6 issues is maybe we don't have Flash for 6 issues or something like that. For Chris's sake, I hope that doesn't happen.
There's a Flash book coming out. I don't care.
But you know, for my sake, I hope Tom Taylor tells the story he wants to tell, and if it's dodging Flash for 6 issues, then you know.
I mean, he kind of has to. Like I've been
broken
this.
character, man. We just saved so much time, like having Flash run around and pull all of the beats we needed to without.
And not only that, like
I love it too.
Every time, this is something. I read this. I had to read this book twice because the first time I read this book mad because there was a bunch of things Tom Taylor did that I was like, I remember this would annoy me, and then he paced them off
almost
like,
immediately.
Yeah, and
because of the pacing,
like 8 pages later or something. I was like, okay, so my complaint is nullified by the time I'm done with this issue. So I had to reread it under a different light.
Dude, I'm glad you did that because I know that sometimes when we talk about stuff on the show, like. After I'm done talking about something, you see them in a new light on occasion. Yeah. And same when you talk about something as well. And then we'll both go back and go, oh yeah, I see what he was saying now, you know?
He's like running around the coast. I'm like, these all should be down. Like, Wally West is too strong and too fast to not, like, deal with the situation in a second. And then, like, no. And then I'm like, oh wait, he had to go case out this whole joint, take this thing, somewhat stealthily, because nothing goes off, there's no alarm, and I have to assume there's like a security system, get it back to Titan's Tower, come back in like 2 pages. I'm like, there's no complaint anymore. And like, I was like, I think they paid off the Church of Eternity thing too quick, but then they didn't, because the Church of Eternity has this ruse, and now the Titans are going to look into them.
And it's part of a bigger plot.
Because I'm just thinking like,
this Camaranian thing.
This story, I don't know if I want to stretch out, but I feel like there's a lot here. And almost this whole run we could be dealing with these people.
Yeah.
And I'm just like long-term thinking of the story, like the story's going to be telling.
Yeah. And I'd say that although we had this cold open and it wasn't like a restart, wow, what a way to do a restart. What a way to re-solidify everything you're doing all over again and still continue the plot anyway. And again, 48 hours. Right, we got 48 hours before Flash is dead. So this is why this book is better than World's Finest and Something Epic 5 and Guardians 6 and we are 3 issues in deep. We are in deep on all the rest of those books as well. This one just did a better job at being a comic book.
Right.
There wasn't a lot of things you couldn't pull from the panels yourself and just reading what was going on. It was worth 2 reads from Chris Potter. Which means that his first reaction was emotional in nature. That pulled him, like, made him angry. Like, he got an emotional reaction.
I wouldn't go that far.
But
I always want to give my books the benefit of the doubt. And if I feel like I'm not doing it because of something unjustified, I feel like it's worth another read.
Good word. So, you know, this book was fantastic. It's a great cover. We both paid $1 more for the cover, and we're not even mad about it. You know, what else can I say about this thing, man? The art was okay.
Yeah.
I'm
more excited by Nicola Scott after reading this book, though. I was almost dreading that she was on this book.
You know, Nicola Scott, Bruno Redondo, Daniel Sampere, Michael Janine, Mitch Gerads. I feel like everybody I just named are in like a class of really similar are in a class of like really similar artists with really unique styles on that solid basis.
Right.
And I have no idea where that basis is coming from.
I guess just
like I just have to figure out who did that first out of all those names or something. Because it's what I really am defining it as is near realistic, really well defined character.
Here's what I'll say.
Basically.
I feel like we just came off a generation of the Image guys who are not classically trained artists. I feel like all of those guys went to art school. They spent their time figure drawing, doing all the crap that the Image guys didn't do to refine their figures.
But while they were reading nothing but...
these are comic fans.
While they were reading nothing but the Image guys doing DC and Marvel titles.
So you're getting ultra-refined, real, like, Image stuff.
Here's Neil Adams, here's Todd McFarlane.
Yeah.
Basically, right? Like, when I say basically, I mean truly basics here. Like, here's your bombast. Here's your story progression. Let's get it done. Let's make it look good. Let's shove all that stuff together and deliver a thing that, like... And, like, I can even feel, like, some of the digital influences here, too, on top of that, how digital art has affected this. But I keep on getting surprised. Me and Chris keep getting surprised at finding out one dude is digital or one dude is not digital.
Yeah,
there's no defining moments.
Capuccio was this guy's digital. He is not. I've recently found out he is not
And same
very
with
digital.
Simone DeMio. That dude is like pen and paper most of the stuff. They have digital parts to their processes.
For sure.
Which speed up the way that they can make comics and allow them to do
Even a guy like D-Dubs, who is the most traditional, like that guy's using a brush.
Yeah.
We're in an era of pen inking comics.
Yeah.
Man is using a brush.
Yeah. So in any case, you should buy Titans. It's the best Titans book out. It's the best Justice League book out.
Yep.
It's the second best Tom Taylor book out. It's tied with Nightwing. I ain't gonna beat either of these up.
No, I like Nightwing more.
I'm partial.
I'll beat this one.
I'm partial to Dick Grayson, and I'm even partial to Bruno Redondo a little bit.
Even though he's not on this issue.
Yeah, but like his spirit is there.
Yeah, that was my note.
He's influenced this character too much now. So, you got anything to leave off on Titans 3? I feel like it's one of these issues where it really had a lot, and it's everybody should read it.
Yeah, I'll say there is a wider theme Tom Taylor is talking about, and it's the way religions have reinvented themselves over the past decade in the social media era.
Yeah.
I feel like there is a thing he's saying right here with his Church of Eternity.
Yeah. And that's another thing that Tom Taylor does too, is he'll take something, a subject matter, and he'll pick it apart in so many ways. Like, I can't tell you how many of his books have been influenced by the environmental stuff that he's seeing in real life.
Yeah.
Like Superman, Nightwing, Titans, just 3 off the top of my head. He's writing other titles and stuff. So, the man is consistent. He knows his stuff. He's very reliable. It's a rare occasion that I come up with a Tom Taylor book and I'm like, I don't think there's ever been a Tom Taylor book I didn't enjoy. This man is worth his weight in gold. So much so that we're doing a second Tom Taylor book right here, right for you, right now. Still not as good as Wonder Woman does. And this one, I really should have just flipped through these before we started here because I don't remember what happened in this issue. I remember this guy Stephen Byrne is drawing it though, and Steve Byrne has worked with Tom Taylor before on a couple things. Most of all, Justice League Power Rangers. Yeah. How interesting, right? That's a deep cut from 2017. We're talking 5 years ago or more, and now he's back with Tom Taylor on Nightwing. And I wouldn't be surprised either.
I don't think it's the first time either. I think he's done fill-ins for this run before.
It's possible. I don't think so though. I think I thought it was this guy Travis Scott that's been doing fill-ins on Nightwing. Mm-hmm. That's how he got this Titans job. Is Tom Taylor's like, I like this guy. Let's give him a main gig. Yeah. I got to be more Australian with my Tom Taylor impression. So we got Steve Byrne, Tom Taylor. There's a backup here that was real okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was less of a waste of time than the Superman Sun one.
I was actually pretty excited about it. I've been following the artist Serguna for a while.
Oh, cool.
I like their stuff.
Oh, good. All right, sweet. So we'll have a little something to say about that. But cover-wise, we both paid the $1 more and got the Dan Mora cardstock cover.
I mean, come on.
Dude, this doesn't even look like his stuff either, right? This looks like
It almost is like Romita-esque.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. Like a really image-influenced John Romita.
Yeah.
But yeah, and mostly because of the rain.
It's the rain. Romita owns the rain.
Loves the rain. I crap you not, folks. I was at a signing with Frank Miller and John Romita Jr. I handed John Romita Jr. a Batman book with him in the rain, and John signs it and hands it over to Frank for some reason. And Frank picks it up, and when I say picks it up, I mean Frank handles it. He doesn't care. He's waving my comic around. I'm cringing, but it's Frank Miller. He's putting his hands on my comic. I'm going to tell Frank Miller to put my comic down? No. And Frank's like, I really liked this. You did a great job on this. Wow, I haven't seen this one you've done. And John Romita goes, yeah, I'm trying to get every character I've done in the rain. Yeah. It's a thing I've heard, quote for quote.
You seen that Daredevil 1 cover? The new one.
Yeah.
Daredevil in the
He's
rain.
doing it. He's going for it.
Same pose all the time, too. Crouched, hunched over a gargoyle.
Gargoyle. Yeah, it works, and it looks great. Yeah. I can't wait to see the Moon Knight version. He's at Marvel now. So, we got Nightwing 106. Again, back from a 2-month hiatus with Night Terrors, and the last issue was crazy. Last issue was You Are Nightwing. That was such a break from the norm. It was wild. You're running down a train.
Oh.
You're saving Barbara. You got these twins. You're on an adventure. It feels like a video game, but with the best cutscenes and art you've seen in your life.
Yeah.
It's so much fun. The story was engaging, and it still stayed plot relevant because Tom Taylor is the best of us. And good God, okay? And then 2 months of Night Terrors, and then you gotta come back. And he comes back.
Yeah.
Oh, he comes back. I don't remember why. But he comes back. Chris, you got the summary for us? Tell us you got the summary.
Yeah. So we flash back with all things of Rick Grayson. We start off with him, and he's in this dive bar that was apparently a reoccurring thing from his run.
Yes.
I did not read the Rick Grayson stuff.
I'm here for this. I can vouch. He had a girlfriend named Bia.
Yep.
And she owned the bar. And he was a taxi driver, like Mark Spector.
Like
Mark
the
Spector.
taxi driver.
He was a little like Robert De Niro in Taxi Driver. But it was Jake Lockley was the comparison I was trying to make because he's still like he wasn't doing superhero stuff, but he was a force. He's still Dick Grayson. He has a natural. I'm gonna be a detective and a force of good and stuff. So. And and trying to get back to where Chris is going with this is very relevant because most people dodged all of that stuff.
Right.
And here is Tom Taylor giving us a payoff no one was ready for.
Reminding us this is Nightwing 106, not like 20 or whatever. We're paying off the run of Nightwing that we have been reading since Rebirth.
And he even mentions,
off and on.
And in the last issue, he mentions that we see those twins prior in like a story that he had done earlier in the run on top of that too. There are so many ongoing beats in this one, just as well as it is Titans, that it's almost like, Tom Taylor knew in both these books, he's like, I need to resell my whole audience on both of these titles.
Yeah.
And I'm going to. So, and with Rick Grayson, of all things, the book's most unpopular portion, where there was no Nightwing, there was like a team of like local firefighters and policemen taking on his costume, and he was just running around with this bartender, ignoring Barbara, ignoring Tim, ignoring the Bat Fam. Alfred dies. We don't even get the emotional weight of that till way later in Tom Taylor's rate in the book. It's such, and furthermore, can't spend too much time on this. We really need to get back to Chris's summary over here, but I need to mention that Tom King, our boy, our Wonder Woman #1 writer, the man. He did not shoot Nightwing in the head. This was an editorial decision.
No.
So,
everything you don't like about Tom King's run was not his choice.
And it wasn't even his run, right? It was influencing the Nightwing run was the whole purpose. Is let's do this so we can make the Nightwing run sell more for some reason. Now that Tim Seeley isn't writing it. Yeah. We'll throw a classic writer on it, we'll throw Dan Jurgens at it, and it'll be great. And they effectively kill Nightwing, and now we have Rick Grayson for like 20 issues, and we have learned before in comics that just Grayson doesn't work. We are here for Nightwing. Truly, we're here for Nightwing. I'm a Dick Grayson fan. Chris is a Dick Grayson fan. And we pick up books like that. Like, if Chris was, like, caring enough about fucking Nightwing at the moment, maybe he'd have tried reading the title. I don't know.
I also don't have as much money.
Man was a lot younger than he was now, yeah. Whereas, and then it might have been a $3 book at the moment, so I might have just been justifying it because it was cheaper and stuff. It probably was $4. In any case, here's our payoff. Finally, we're getting some decent Rick Grayson stuff.
Yeah.
He's talking to the bartender, right?
Because he's gotten this package from someone from Haley's Circus.
Yes.
I kind of skipped over that. The very beginning of the book is actually this guy comes to Dick, not realizing he's Rick now. He's lost his memory and stuff.
But he's found
But this has been bothering him since before he went to prison. This guy went to prison. He has this package for for Dick. And Rick is like, this is not for me.
Because he's such an honorable person still.
And he's like, if Nightwing ever comes back, which I don't want him to, but if he does, I'm going to leave this for him at this place, The Keep, which Bia has a connection to and tells Rick about. And we meet the guy, the gatekeeper, I think.
This dude is some crazy, old pirate-looking man with maybe powers that we're not quite sure of. Because he's very
something going on.
roguish,
Yes.
And
aloof.
And what I even want to make even more ridiculous, like this is the one thing I couldn't swallow in here is, we've set up Bia earlier and who she is and what she is and her connections and stuff like that. I don't understand that she has connections to like basically a Court of Owls level ancient Bloodhaven thing. So this is the only swallow that was hard in this whole book, and I'll totally point it out. but we needed to facilitate this somehow.
Yeah.
And it's just still a cool payoff. And since we don't know Bia as much as outside of those 20 issues, let's make her a little bit more important. She's got connections. So, all right, we got this creepy dude from the pirate ship we met 20 issues ago. He's trying to tell Rick Grayson he'll hold his shit for him, no problem.
Right, and Dick found out about this because he had an adventure with the Keep. I forget why. Tony Zuko or something?
He was chasing somebody into there, and that person didn't respect the Keep, and then they ended up getting got by the Keep by the end of the issue.
And then the gatekeeper told Dick he has a package
He's also
waiting
got
for him.
something in here, coincidentally.
And Dick has been letting it be because he doesn't... He's, like, kind of concerned, I guess.
He's just
about
got too
whatever
much
it is.
stuff going on. He's opening the Titans. He's been through Night Terror.
That was Nightwing 99. The next issue was the big 100. He's fighting Heartless. He's reestablishing the Titans.
Dating Barbara. He's got a dog.
He's got Bitewing.
He's
got Gar.
He's got a lot. He's
Who
got 2 dogs.
Spends his time as a dog doing dog things, apparently.
Well, I mean, maybe I'm
running around
patient.
Titan's Tower.
No, I think that was just to make Dick laugh.
Yeah.
I'm sure. But that's another note worth making. Barbara and Dick are now living in Titan's Tower. They've forgone the whatever apartment they had in Bloodhaven or whatever.
You know, fair enough. It's been a couple months.
Makes sense.
If you're not aware of what's happening in Titans, it's not that even hard a pill to swallow.
Mm-hmm.
I actually like that Dick lives in Titan's Tower. I think it's been kind of weird that he never has.
Yeah,
he's like the only irregular occupant.
Yeah.
But he's in the tower. He leaves pretty quick. Titans don't really matter in this book much.
And I would say too,
because there's been a murder.
Yeah.
Heartless has killed the gatekeeper. Him and Tony Zuko try to return to the keep because there's a bunch of treasure there. It's gone, except for the gatekeeper who tries to fend him off. Gets killed real quick.
Do we establish why Heartless even knows there's a gatekeeper?
Because Tony Zuko's with him.
And Tony Zuko's the guy
He's
who
the
we
guy
were
who got
chasing
chased
last time. And I believe maybe even got arrested or something like that.
And Heartless is palling around with him because he was there for the circus incident and he loves it. That's like his idol almost. He like hates Dick Grayson and loves that his parents were killed. Honestly, that's the one hard thing in this run. I think this Heartless character is very cartoonish.
You know what? Then I think the problem is too is he's been playing the background for such a long time that we don't have enough on him to know what his gimmick is.
Yeah,
he's just this guy who runs around and takes people's hearts, and now he's a businessman.
Yeah,
you know what reason?
Money.
What reason? I think in the annual it was like he got bored being Heartless, so now he wants to play a real person role as well.
Yeah,
you know it's a strange thing, but. I can't stress enough. Tom Taylor's never failed me.
No, I'm sure he'll pay us off.
Yeah, it'll come around.
If it doesn't, it's not even that big a deal to me.
How about that Nightwing motorcycle?
It's got a Nightwing logo on it.
It's got a sweet Nightwing logo on it. Thanks, Steve Byrne, for throwing that in there. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I literally have a note that just says Steve Byrne. He must have been doing a great job in this book.
What he's really doing for me is keeping Redondo's visual language, and that's very important in this book. Like,
I'd say difficult.
I love Eddie Barrows, but when he filled in 100, I did think it was a little out of place. Just because there's such a strong graphic visual language this book is established, breaking from it feels wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and Stephen Byrne is keeping that up. His colorist really helps. Is it still
Adriana Lucas? I think it's Adriana Lucas.
Has it been Lucas the whole run? I
don't know if it's been.
Doesn't matter. They keep up the color language too, which is very bold. A lot of pinks, vibrant greens.
Yeah.
A lot of color. This is a comic book.
And not just a lot. Is Nightwing really known for its color? I would have said that Bruno Redondo has based this whole book in blues.
Maybe.
It's
to some extent, for sure. And he can mute it. Like, we're looking at the book right now. There are pages, especially in the bar, which are very atmospheric of the place. There's a lot of vibrancy going on in this book.
Yeah. I'm gonna stick to my guns on that too. I agree with what you're saying, but I think all of it's based in blues, even though the pinks look like they've been hued over with blues and stuff like that. And there's a reason for that.
Exactly.
Nightwing. So, but this was a pretty short portion of Nightwing because there's a backup in it also.
Right.
And but the book moves. One of my notes is here's our characters and here's our stories and we're full steam ahead.
Yeah. So the corpses are being taken off by this ambulance. Dick is IDing the corpses with his facial Bloodhaven database that Barbara tracks.
These are the corpses.
And he notices not only are the corpses unidentifiable, so are the drivers. So he knows something's up.
Right.
They're not typical Bloodhaven staff.
Right.
So he goes to chase the ambulance. The ambulance is fighting him. It's like swerving into him.
Right.
He's having an ambulance battle.
Yeah,
Barbara takes over remote control.
There's a quote.
Breaks in the ambulance.
Are they trying to kill you with an ambulance from Barbara?
Yeah, that's like, I think she also says, like, that's the opposite of what ambulance are used for.
Very hypocritical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like some silly jokes like that.
Yeah.
And once Dick is in this ambulance, he takes care of these guys pretty handedly, but Barbara makes a note that he's in the middle of the ocean now, opens up the ambulance after taking out the guys. He's on a boat, and there waiting for him is Bia, who is now, I guess, the head of the keep now that her father's dead. Because her father makes a note like, you're going to be sorry when you meet my daughter. So I'm assuming it's Bia.
Oh, you know, I hadn't put that together for some reason. That makes a lot of sense, though, and that also pays off why she knows who this guy is.
Yep.
Oh, man, Tom Taylor, huh? He really knows how to tie it all together. You picked on that. I had no idea. I don't know why. There is, like, 2 or 3 things that I wanted to, like, chew up in here, but my brain is just not firing enough. Like, the dude says, I have a quote that says, thanks, and then what? That doesn't make any sense. But I'm going to talk about the hold for a second while I'm looking for this. Did you know in Las Vegas that there are parts of Las Vegas that you have to, in order to have a legal casino, it has to be on water?
Oh.
And, you know, since Bloodhaven is kind of based in Las Vegas at least a little bit, I thought that was interesting that they have a keep that's just on a ship in water, but it's accessible like it was a building or something.
Yeah. I think what mostly is happening is Tom Taylor is playing with genre a little bit and is doing a swashbuckling story, is what we're leading up to.
I hope not.
Okay.
I really hope you're wrong on that one. I hope this is just her in a very specific outfit so that she stands apart from other characters.
We'll see. You know.
But it's Bloodhaven, like it's not possible. Tim Seeley did like a whole thing with the whales.
Okay.
The like whale gang that exists in Bloodhaven.
Oh yeah, that's another thing. When the keep leaves, there's a giant whale skeleton in its place.
No, it was inside the keep.
Right, which is the boat that keeps all the treasures going.
Yeah.
Is what I should
Oh, but
be
the
saying.
skeleton's still there.
The skeleton's still there, and that's what the police find. Is a giant whale skeleton and 2 corpses.
Do they even show it or they talk about it?
No, they totally show it right there.
No, it's inside of the keep. They go inside. See, it's inside. The whole, just all of the keep is still there, but the stuff, the doors somehow like magically disappeared. Or
Okay.
because that's the same setup minus all of the.
It's been a while since I read Nightwing 99. I thought everything was on a ship.
I'm gonna pull this page up so I'm not just like pointing at a comic. You guys can look at it as well. But like there's like there used to be they even show like the karate shoddy stairs that went through here and then
Right.
led to all these doors, but all the doors are. This is like almost the same art, which is kind of what I what I also saw him continuing the Bruno Redondo thing. This might be copy and pasted, like almost traced from what Bruno Redondo had in the other issue. Heartless takes the dude's heart too. Maybe that'll, I don't know what he's doing with all these hearts. So I feel like we should mention that he's still collecting hearts.
I don't even think it's for a purpose.
He's also a man.
I think he's just a weirdo.
There's got to be something that comes of it though. Like maybe they find the hearts and they donate it to like the blood.
Oh, maybe the end goal is
America
that
or something. He's gonna do something like really nice for the earth with all of these hearts that have been well stored, and donate because Tom Taylor loves the environment.
He's very socially conscious.
Very socially conscious. I found my thanks what thing. There's this panel, pull it up, where Nightwing's fighting these ambulance people.
Yeah.
And he's talking to Barbara, and it's on his headset, and you can't tell the Nightwing's got a headset. And so he thanks Barbara for something, and the dude who's fighting him goes, "What?" And
he stops mid-fight.
What?
He's just
because
taken aback.
it looked like Dick thanked him for fighting him or something like that. So it was, a small moment in a comic that I thought embraced a good amount of humor and stuff.
Yeah, and Tom Taylor takes those whenever he gets them.
Yeah.
Which, if that's your thing, it's your thing.
Yeah. He wants
He keeps the book light.
Yeah, and there's a, you can't just read bad, negative, dark crap all the time.
No, for sure.
I've learned that from reading Batman books almost exclusively for years. So it's nice when you have a writer that can do that kind of stuff and still keep the darkness consistent. Yeah, you got any? We beat Titans up more, but still, this is in after Titans. Why do we think this is better than Titans? Do we think it's because it opened better and closed better, kept it going? The art was better than Scott, but they're both keeping pretty they're very similar artists, though, right?
Again, it's probably just my knee-jerk reaction to Titans.
May just be our general bias that Dan Mora has the cover duties on here. We might be
Very
subconsciously being manipulated by Dan Mora.
And honestly, the Keep was one of my biggest questions.
It's a cool concept.
Yeah, I really want to know what's in this package. I'm very intrigued. And, like, you know, this run has played a lot more of Dick's past in a meaningful way than a lot of runs have. A lot of runs address it, but we're really getting into, like, his background and stuff that Dick didn't even know about.
Yeah.
So whatever's in this paper, I imagine, relates to the Zuko family and the Grayson family. The connection they apparently have.
You know what would be even cooler? Is if somehow, because I still think that the Vandal Savage tie in Batman is going to lead to something in Detective, and like Zdarsky's paying something off with Ram V. It'd be even cooler if somehow this thing in the Keep pays off something with Detective and Batman in the same fashion.
Sure.
I would, oh gosh, I'd be like, this was the best year in Batman. Like 10 years where all of my books came together for once.
Yeah.
Like on some like Marvel 2010 level shit or something. The Rick Bia thing I think gave me a pretty prejudice positively on this book. Because I read that stuff and man, I didn't dislike Rick, and when Tom Taylor started, he had to write Bia off. And he did an okay job of doing it. It made sense the way he did it and stuff. But it felt bad. It felt real bad because Rick and Bia were as good as Barbara and Dick are. They had a really great relationship going. And that character doesn't deserve to be done nothing with.
Yeah.
And to apparently, from what Chris is deriving, and I think he's correct, to create her into some level of like this importance.
Give her a mythos.
Yeah, she's now the Keep person. Now, whenever we use the Keep, which seems like it could be used again elsewhere, we're gonna have Bia around, which is a great payoff.
One thing Tom Taylor does is, as long as people are paying attention to this book, which I'm sure they are, there is a greater lore for Nightwing. Bloodhaven has more character now as a result of what Tom Taylor has done than it has had, at least in my recollection.
Yeah.
Because I know there are people who love like the 90s Nightwing stuff and will still swear by how that guy, I forget who it is, wrote that character.
Yeah, Chuck Dixon. Probably.
Chuck Dixon. But this stuff is giving a lot of character to Bloodhaven, Nightwing, Rogues Gallery. He's given him.
Yeah.
He's given him a world, a place to play in.
Yeah. These days in comics, I feel like we have more competent writers that come from a background that's more rich.
Yes.
Whereas, like for a long time in comics, we just had guys that were paid to do the job because they got the job and they did a good enough job. They weren't coming from any specific background.
Right.
Tom Taylor has had like nominations in Australia for plays and cartoons, and he's very, very rich in culture. He's been across the world.
Right.
The man knows his stuff. I can't say that Chuck Dixon has ever left New York City when he was writing Batman and Moon Knight and stuff like that.
Oh, for sure.
It's not, and that's why me and Chris is never like sitting here like saying this is way better than the other stuff that came before it. You got to lay the groundwork.
Oh,
and
yeah.
same with Dan Jurgens with the Rick Grayson stuff. You know, okay, it might have sucked while it was happening, but now this is a tool that somebody else can play with later and make way more important, make way more viable, and make way more relevant. Here, Tom Taylor's doing us all a favor and bringing it around, not even that far away from where it was. You know, this could have been a long payoff thing that some Nightwing fan brought back down way later, but Tom Taylor's doing it.
There's
in the
going
same
to be
run.
people who are going to read the Tim Seeley stuff and want to read. Who are going to read this book all the way through. And by doing stuff like this, it makes it read like one story as opposed to 3 stories.
And I'm one of those people.
They're paying this stuff off.
You know, and again, I'm going to go back to him being such a cultured writer. What is, that kind of just sounds like a bunch of different seasons in one TV show.
Right.
You know, and why wouldn't you be writing stuff like television these days? If it sells, it sells. You know,
and we're talking about being in a golden era of comics. We're in a golden era of media, in my opinion.
As a whole, yeah.
Television has never been better for the most part.
Yeah. So there's a reason why it was only a little higher than Titans. Me and Chris both didn't know which to put first. We both asked each other. So these could theoretically be interchangeable. After talking about them, I may even put Titans over Nightwing. But they're both worth your $5 to $6.
You know what it was?
Oh, there's a backup in here.
Yeah, my only note is I like the artist.
You can continue what you're about to say though.
I like Titans a lot. Again, why I wrote this summary, we kind of don't learn anything by the end of Titans. Though Church of Eternity is sketchy, they're resketching. There's no new status quo as a result of the end of Titans. We're basically just we're setting up a beat for the future that's going to keep paying off, so we kind of have to just spin our wheels for a little bit.
Whole bunch of beats. And we don't even spin our wheels that much. It's a fast-paced moving, we got things done, we're moving it along.
Sure.
We even brought our audience back into it.
But for me, it was an action scene. The Church of Eternity is not...
Oh, it is. It's again, this is 48
it's one
hours.
action scene.
We have 2
In
days.
this issue, we have...
This might have been a day
the death of an important
important
character, the moving of the keep. We have Dick even looking into the keep. We have Dick being on this boat. We're meeting Bia.
Moving.
Seeing Dick
all over the
rip.
place.
There is a lot more plot here.
And time
to digest.
Yeah.
This issue moved more, had more going on, made me more excited for the next issue.
I think it had just as much going on as the last thing. But they were just handled very differently.
For sure.
You know, and I think that's like story relevant mostly, where like Nightwing is pretty open, he can do whatever he wants, but he's trapped himself in this 48-hour thing with the Flash.
Mm-hmm.
So there are reasons why he's doing both of those things. But that's a good reason for putting it forward, that's for sure.
So again, with the backup, my only note is I really like Sergunia. It's like a one-name artist handle. They have a very like anime-inspired style.
Yeah.
A lot of over-the-top expressions, stuff you'll see in Jump more than American comics. There's a really there's a panel of like Cassie where she eats these pancakes. This book is about making pancakes for the most part.
Yeah.
And it's
all
like she lights up and
6 to 8 pages.
her head is like flown back and her cheeks are super full. It's like a very cartoony language.
Yeah. So it's a 6 to 8 page short story about Nightwing sharing something with Cassandra sharing something with Nightwing.
Yeah.
That is cooking and fighting, in vice versa.
Yeah.
And it gets interrupted by somebody, some villain, something happens.
Kind of. Someone's like watching them, and maybe sees Stephanie show up as Batgirl, maybe doesn't.
Yeah.
Because they.
Oh, it gets interrupted by spoiler.
Yeah, Stephanie shows up.
She shows up.
And they're having a movie night, and there's these guys watching him, and there's like a kind of funny joke where the guy sees Stephanie walking, he's like, how many broads is this guy dating? Because presumably he's seen Barbara.
A bunch
before.
of ladies are just walking in and out of this guy's place.
Got no idea these people are doing, why they're watching Dick. We'll find out later. This was really just like a cute family interaction.
Yeah, I can't imagine me and Chris are even going to spend that much time on this stuff.
I'm done.
It's fine. No, I mean going forward.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
fine backup. It's just not worth much compared to the thing we read right before it. The writer's guy's name is Michael Conrad. It is what it is. Moving on. Wonder Woman #1.
Wonder Woman #1.
Brace yourselves, folks. The storm is coming. We finally made it. We've got 2 different covers. My man's got the art germ. I got myself the Daniel Sampier.
Yeah.
For no particular reason. I didn't think I was going to buy this book. I didn't think I was going to look at this book. I didn't think I was going to... I wasn't even bothered. But then we went to a signing with Tom King.
We're on the train back. I read this book. This guy was like, do you think it's worth the show? I was like, yes.
Yeah.
And then he's like, do you think it has themes we can chop up? Yes.
Didn't really answer my question.
Is the art good? Yes.
Yeah. So, alright, so I read this title, and I'm going to try and summarize this one since I didn't do the last 2. And
I feel like, this book is very rich. The summary is actually pretty short.
Yeah, right. So, there's an Amazoness woman. She's in a
dive bar, I'd call it.
I'd even say, more accurately, a pool hall with a bar.
Yes.
And she doesn't like men. And
she's being
one
harassed
of
to
these
some
men
extent.
decide they're going to harass her, and we're led to believe they even lay their hands on her inappropriately. And her reaction is to kill every man in the bar. So she does so. She escapes. Police get called. Yada yada yada. This turns into an incident. This turns into a political incident. This turns into a world incident. The whole world's now evacuating all of the Amazons. Wonder Woman's, of course, going to have an opinion on the thing. She's not trying to make it as... She makes it public. She's not saying anything. She's being very supportive of, this isn't right. We have rights. We are people, too. You can't treat us like this. You can't just deport us because one woman is going to destroy our reputation. We haven't even talked to her. We don't know what she's saying. There's nothing that Wonder Woman's saying as much as this is what's coming from her by her saying nothing, in a way. Right?
Yes, because we spend a lot of this book without Wonder Woman.
It's
no
like
the final 8 pages. We finally see Diana.
There's no Wonder Woman for half the book, at least. And if you could say that we see Diana a couple times before, but they're small silhouettes, small images across a couple of panels where she's talking to some her ex-boyfriend,
Steve Trevor,
the guy, and that's important as we're moving the plot. But I'm not going to beat this up. I'm going to summarize this, right? So everybody's looking for this woman, this Amazon woman that killed all these people. The Amazonians, Wonder Woman, the U.S. introduced this guy Sergeant Steele, a real POS.
Yeah.
This guy seems crazy, seems competent when you meet him, but by the time Wonder Woman's done with him later, it's a different story, and we'll get to that. So things are really coming to a head. Sergeant Steele's running all over the place. He's capturing Amazons. The government is giving them the full authority to shoot him down on sight, without even decent reason. This guy also has a grudge against Amazons that might even be a payoff to a comic book that Tom King is quoting from a long time ago.
It is. It's the early 90s George Perez Amazon Attack, which is an event. It's the only Wonder Woman event they've really ever tried to do. I think they did a redo sort of recently, or are about to.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. Amazon's Attack. That's the name.
Yeah.
Suicide Squad gets involved. It's a big Suicide Squad story for the most part. This guy is a government type. He was involved.
So Sergeant Steele, he's sour. I think his family got killed or something like that, and the Amazons went crazy on his...
I think he just lost. I think it's as petty as Wonder Woman beat him, and he is upset about it.
Yeah, that's at least what it's played as. I don't know. They might develop that further later. In any case, this man hates the Amazonians for some reckless reason. There was no editor's note, okay? And I want to point that out kind of importantly, because I want to compliment Tom King all over again, man.
Right.
How many times on this show have I complained about editor's notes being included in comic books? There was no editor's note. I turned to Chris and I was like, I think this is from a comic book prior. And I didn't need an editor's note for it. I don't need anything in this comic to tell me what's going on. I don't need any description. I'm summarizing this based on my ability to determine what's happening on this in dialogue and
because all you need, he tells you. There was an event called Amazon's Attack.
Let's resell this again. All we need is told to us. Tom King doesn't tell us a word.
Through naturalistic dialogue of him explaining who he is and his grudge.
Sergeant Steele's. It's all... The whole book is natural. The whole book is natural. It's amazing how the panels and the words together develop this story. And it's very powerful. And so anyway... Everybody's on the hunt for this Amazon woman. Wonder Woman, maybe most of all. She sends her, so much so that she is trying to not do anything egregious, maybe even fall into the same trap that her sister has and kill all these men. She is contacted by the Amazons, and they want to hear her word. She's like their American person. There's a word for it.
Her liaison.
Yeah, the American liaison of some sort. Probably one of a bunch.
Ambassador.
And she's on the Justice League. She's got high-powered friends. Nothing she can do is helping. She can't get Superman involved. Nothing she can do. So she...
Well, she does get them involved. There's a line.
But
she asks them to vouch for them, and it doesn't work. They're like, you're super people anyway. You don't have to worry about these warrior women killing you. Think about the men.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So, like I was saying, she's not... Nothing she's doing is working. It doesn't matter if she's married to the president at this point.
Right.
This is the hand that she's being dealt. She's refusing to take it. She knows that that's a reckless and dangerous area for her to run on. So she gets rid of her sword. She gives her sword back to the Amazons, who comes and asks her of her opinion. The sword is to be brought to the Queen. This means something to the Queen, and I think to the readers as well.
Right.
And I think that's being sold by what I just said.
There's a line by Hippolyta. It comes with a note. Wonder Woman tells her, I don't want to be tempted.
Hippolyta?
Or the Queen. It's not Hippolyta. It's Nubia or something.
I don't know who it is, but it ain't Hippolyta.
It's not. You're right. Call me out right away. It's someone else.
Okay. I've just been really paying attention to this title. I've read the hell out of it. Okay, in any case, so Wonder Woman is dancing on territory she's not supposed to be dancing on. She ain't hanging out with the League because it didn't work. She ain't hanging out with the Amazons because it didn't work. The whole narration through this story, which is very consistent, is about this dude, the Sovereign, or the people that represent him, telling a story to a little girl about the time that Wonder Woman defeated us all. Sounds like it could be like a mascot for America, trying to like tell a story about American history or something like that.
Right.
And you get this whole vibe that this person is very proud, and whoever is telling the story is very relevant to the story on top of that, right? So, okay, it's all coming to a head, is what you're getting, right? We've got this problem. Everybody's dealing with it. We've got American influence, Amazon influence, Wonder Woman, Justice League, all these people, this has to come to a head. And it comes to the head in the strangest manner possible. We cut to Sergeant Steele walking into a cemetery.
Yes.
I'm going to pull up this page because I got panel for panel this. he just starts talking. And he's like, I don't know what you're doing here. You're crazy. You shouldn't be here. Montana? And you get like 2 bubbles, and it's like Wonder Woman saying, I needed to see ya, or something like that.
She's visiting the grave of the man the Amazonian killed.
I didn't realize that. She didn't even pick up on that. I picked up on
paying
a
respect
lot.
to this guy.
And also she knows she's smart. She knows she's going to be noticed. She goes and does something like this. That grave's probably being monitored and stuff. She wants to get a word in, I think, finally.
Yes.
And so
she needs to make a statement, basically.
Steele's not going to let her do it. And basically, like, moments. Graveyard scene. They're walking, they're talking, they're walking, they're talking. Steele starts making accusations and threats. Wonder Woman's like, I'm not here to do anything violent. I'm trying to be very apparent about that. They don't care. They keep shooting. They start shooting at her. She takes them all down. She got wrists. Boom, 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 boom. No problem. Takes them all out, right? And then she's got Lieutenant, Sergeant, whatever his name is, Sergeant Steele, on the ground, on his knees, going, you don't know what you just did, lady. The brass is going to come down on you. And she almost gets shot by a guy in a tree. But she wristbands that guy. She gets the lasso, drags his ass out of the tree. Lasso's on him. She asks him a question. What are you really here for? To assassinate you, he says. Sergeant Steele's like, I don't know what you're talking about. You know. And then she's like, well, I'll be interested in seeing what you're going to have to say in a moment. Right. So we cut to her talking with Steve Trevor and stuff. And she's telling Steve Trevor about what she learned out of that whole altercation. And it is that Sergeant Steele's orders are coming from on high. On high who? Not exactly anybody Steve Trevor knows about. This guy named, or this person, or this entity named the Sovereign, who's supposed to be based on a mythos that Steve Trevor, I think, gives to us about that there isn't really any democracy in America. It's all just a figment of the sheeples imaginations that we have free will when we're all just really being guided through marketing and popular culture to what the Sovereign wants us to be at.
As well as the literal lasso of lies this guy has.
Yeah, so he can make, I believe what, and I don't know what it is. It probably exists already in Wonder Woman lore. But I'm guessing that it makes anybody believe what the person holding it says.
Yes.
Okay. So that's pretty cool. I collected that simply based off of an image and the story.
Right, because he's explaining like the lie of America that's founded on, and the way he took control from the monarchy by inspiring these patriots, feeding them with false delusions of freedom and hope and a better world and of peace, and all along it's this guy's machinations.
American sheeple.
Yeah.
Sheeple.
And he's dressed in like king regalia from England.
We get a splash page of the King Man. He looks pretty cool. He's probably the Sovereign. Could still be the name of the organization. We'll find out the next couple issues.
Right.
What's important here is what you take from this comic. The story was great, but I was really just trying to get through that. Honestly, to just like tell you how great this book really is. King and Sampier, to my knowledge, never worked before. No. Daniel Sampier is a guy like Bruno Redondo who did all of his training at DC in Injustice. He got to draw how many different characters, how many different panels, how many different things. He's got entire, now resume of stuff he's been able to do. On top of all the stuff he's done already. And I think he's been working on Wonder Woman prior to Tom King jumping on. I think he's done some stuff with Becky Cloonan, who I think was writing this before. Okay. So Daniel Sampier's been around. And now he's on Tom. He's getting orders that Mitch Gerads would be getting if he was doing the book. Really specific stuff, and he's nailing it. He's killing it.
Right.
Not only that, but he's elevating it. This dude's background, and it must have, his design is so good. His shirts and his jackets and everything moves well and freely, and everything looks exactly the way it does. It, we were talking about Akira Toriyama work earlier. It reminds me of Akira Toriyama work. Okay. Just because of how clean, how dynamic, and how comic book based it still is and really is and stuff. It really elevates what Tom King goes for in his comics. It's like these guys were almost perfect for each other, even though they weren't paired by their own choosing. I can't believe that kind of stuff when it happens.
Yeah, man. It's just something that happens with Tom King, where Tom King is assigned with an artist, and they're like a defining artist of their generation. Everyone Tom regularly works with, they're in my like top 10 probably of current working artists.
Yeah.
Mitch Strauss, I adore.
Yeah.
Jorge Fornes, Lee Weeks, Clay Mann when he actually is working.
Oh, yeah.
They're all really, really strong artists, and now we can add Sam Pierre to that.
Yeah.
Another note on Sam Pierre. This is something Tom King has said. His major influence to write this book was George Perez. That's the Wonder Woman guy to probably everyone for the most part. Maybe for some people it's Azzarello, but George Perez, he had this long run on Wonder Woman.
Did he write and draw it?
Yep.
Right.
For the most part. He might have not drawn every issue.
Right.
But, real Byrne-style comics.
Right.
And, this is one of the few runs Tom King has read and enjoys, and when George Perez died, it was one of the things that got him to write this book and write it monthly, is he wanted to find a piece of what George Perez had. And part of why he's been so interested in what Sam Pierre does is, ironically, he just did Dark Crisis. So to him, Sam Pierre is almost like a modern George Perez, because Perez was the event guy who could draw all the characters, make them all look good, draw good action.
Yeah.
And when you pared him down, since all that time is gone, he's got good buildings, he's got good fabric, he's got good expressions.
Yeah.
And not only that, his figures they're not realistic. They are still elongated. That big splash page reminded me of like a cleaned up Jim Lee or a
Tony Daniel.
Tony Daniel.
I saw Tony Daniel hard.
Yeah.
But I loved it.
Yes.
That's where Tony Daniel shines, right, too, if we're going to talk about him
These
for a
big
moment.
single figure awesome
That's
shots.
where he's at. So that's, if you can pull from the best, you're going to pull what they do the best, too, right?
And like even when Wonder Woman is in her normal regalia, she's not drawn that like, I'm going to take a gander and say it's like a 9 heads tall figure as opposed to like an 8, 7.5 head figure, which is what figures normally are. It's elongated to some extent. Real R. Adams sort of thing.
Yeah.
So he's really going for it with the superhero versus normal people dichotomy.
Yeah,
and
he can with an Amazonian woman even more.
For sure.
Yeah. I like that one of the things they mentioned in this, too, is the big lady problem. Mm-hmm. Like, that's what politically they're calling this, the big lady
The big
problem.
lady problem.
Or accurately, the big lady situation, making it sound even more political. I also thought that the, president guy, he was like the leader of the state, like the government of the state, seemed like the kind of politician out of Dark Knight Returns.
He was a spin man.
Really just forced words, kind of like the president in Dark Knight Returns specifically, had really nice way to say things that aren't nice.
Horrifying.
Yeah.
Because what we're really dealing with in this comic is a mass deportation in the likes of 40s America, and honestly what I think King is really drawing from is post 9/11 America.
Mass
that is a huge part of his life.
Mass murder too. Let me state. I think it was 300 Amazons were killed in the process, which is a ridiculous number.
Separating wives from kids without any regard. We're we're throwing these kids in the orphanage system.
Yeah, wherever they'll be comfortable.
Yeah,
they say.
They lie. This book is built on the concept of truth versus lies, peace versus war. All these major Wonder Woman themes, tying them to current politics. Tying them to Tom King's own life, because I feel like part of what Tom King's writing has been about is almost a reflective criticalness of his own patriotism.
And isn't that scary too in a way?
Right, because
he's got all these experiences that he's taking from, and
he's not come away with a good picture. That man he's not your average post 9/11 join the CIA Republican. He has opinions about the way America has turned, and they're not very positive. And again, we sort of did this sort of mass deportation, mass dehumanizing of people to the Muslim people after 9/11. Again, Tom King, he joined the CIA because of 9/11. He's a guy who was very deeply affected by that event, and probably has some not regrets for joining the CIA and fighting for his country, but some regrets of what we did because of that event.
Things that he'll never forget.
For sure.
And obviously give him stuff to talk about for that reason. I mean, the book has a huge crime angle that it goes into. And then, further than just the crime, he's got a real understanding of the characters he's playing with.
Oh, yeah.
He shows us so many different perspectives on the topics that we're playing with that it scares me further because this is almost, you have these voices in your head. These are things you're telling yourself that he's then writing on the paper and on the page. On some level, like, these things are floating around his head, these opinions that he's heard or have made himself and, like, aren't acknowledging. There are some really ignorant characters in this comic book. And they're coming from King, but they're not the voice of King. They're him telling the story.
Right.
He's using it's scary how well he knows his characters, how well he knows these people. And this is number 1, the first issue, and he still has like such a handle on exactly who he's dealing with.
We're pulling people from the headlines with this book. There's that interview scene of the husband and his daughter, and he's really editorializing. He's like,
it's a great page. I'm gonna pull that up. You got
on the left side. There's this girl pretending to be Wonder Woman. I love Wonder Woman. Pew pew. I want to be Wonder Woman.
Every for 3 or 4 pages.
And there's this guy. He's like, listen, we like Wonder Woman. He's real country type. We like Wonder Woman, but what's happened to this country? You know, think about the men and like this very like.
He's not even that hard on it. He comes from more of a family perspective.
Right.
This guy. He's like, how could you separate any parent from, you know, their kids? It's not wrong. It's not okay. We love Wonder Woman, but you know, it's, you know, we don't know. You know, he's like, he seems kind of confused. He stumbles on his words once or twice.
He's the scared middle American parent who is seeing the headlines.
And he probably means well. He's got a wonderful daughter who loves Wonder Woman and he's supportive of, and yet he's terrified. He doesn't know what to think. He doesn't know what to say.
And to some extent, he's being
ignorant.
Twisted by the media. Because he's repeating and stumbling over the same words the politician has already said in either the page before or the page after.
And his ignorance almost isn't even his fault, because obviously his daughter has the right thing going on. And, you know, it's like, it's so wild how many different perspectives you get in just such a small amount of time in this one issue. I can't. There's so much to chew up here. It's ridiculous. How about AXE? AXE is the Amazon Extradition Enforcement. Do you know how nice they try to make these terms that are supposed to they're supposed to sound, that roll off the tongue for politicians and stuff? Yeah.
We're doing comic book ice.
Yeah. So it's AXE. Now we're gonna axe all the Amazons.
Right.
That's really good writing that he must have thought about for a little while. Like, how do I come up with a great acronym that's still going to tell exactly the story I want to tell? Also be a parallel to something that somebody can relate to in real life. You know, the thought in this is, I can't. I don't know people. This comic is so well thought out. It took me like an hour to read or something crazy like that. It's only like 24 pages or something like that. I like the concept that people in the U.S. think they're free. I've dealt with that my whole life, where like I was wrongly something, and I realized that I don't have the freedom that I think other Americans think they have. That at any moment, like the Amazons in this comic, Americans show up on your door and tell you you're a criminal and throw you in jail, and there's nothing you can do about it because they got the guns.
Yeah.
So, you know, this is an example, and obviously Tom King sees that. You know, he's definitely trying to paint the innocent Amazons that are dealing with the repercussions of this as the innocent Amazons. They're the wronged party 100% across the board.
Right.
Even the more ignorant people can see, like, it's not good what America's doing, but, you know, it is what it is.
The ends justify the means.
Right. And, you know, here's some more theme for you, because we can't pack enough of this in here. Wonder Woman and Superman are perhaps the most American sensibility people in the entire Justice League.
Right.
They're both aliens in some form. She's an immigrant, Superman's not from this world, and yet they represent the best of American sensibilities. The other members have some as well, but our best traits are in those two people. Now one of them's a war criminal. We've done that with Superman before, but I don't know if Wonder Woman's, you know, been as famous a war criminal as Superman is.
I mean, yeah, where the perversion of the American ideal is really on display here. Because, like, think about it, Wonder Woman, especially by taking away her sword and taking away the violence from the character, is the American ideal and is now criminal number one. We are actually targeting America.
It's almost like a war on American women,
right,
in a way. You know, if she's the best of us and we hate her, what does that say about everybody else?
Exactly.
But yeah, it's incredible stuff.
Because of a single crime that happens, like, okay, this is a dumb comparison, but read a Punisher comic book. How many times does that bar event happen? That's just like a crime.
Yeah.
And it just happens to be perpetrated by one person, and now we're going to criminalize everyone.
Yeah,
There's not a pattern of behavior.
Yeah.
Tom King makes that apparent. There isn't one singular event. 20 people die. As a result, 300 other innocent people die.
Yeah. The Punisher big woman situation's everything.
Right.
But Punisher rolls in and kills 20 people in his sleep.
Yes.
You know, this would be nothing for the Punisher, but Punisher is also not an example of the American sensibility. He's not a public figure on the Justice League. He's not what Marvel's painting to be what every woman should be at the end of the day. Sergeant Steele continuously calls her a girl. She's not a fan of that. That's also kind of a theme in there that like these are women that we are dealing with and not little girls. Like you shouldn't degrade women for no reason. Another theme would be obey the law or die because they kill anyone who even like thinks about not doing it for a moment. I can't stress how great the tone and the atmosphere in the book was, especially in scenes like at the cemetery, where I felt like I heard the environment.
Yeah.
You get so much stuff for so long, and then it's quiet for like a page or two.
There is serenity that is put on display in those pages.
Especially once you hit the dubs in Wonder Woman. You can hear all the action, like, without hearing the action somehow.
Like the crunch of the snow as the CIA guy, or the Sergeant Steele's guys roll in.
And I'm not even sure they write that in. You can hear it. You don't need it to be written in there. Again, kind of like with the editor's notes that don't need
and
it.
And again, the major takeaway I got from that is kind of about the perversion of justice, because the whole point of that scene is they shoot at Wonder Woman and then spend the whole fight trying to convince them through body cams, through Wonder Woman's own words, to try and get her to say anything that justifies that they were in the right. She attacked first, somehow.
Yeah,
the perversion of truth.
Yeah,
the lie of like media and stuff. We're going for all of that.
There's so much to chew up here. There's a quote I have. Those who think girls are fools themselves. You know, why? Just, you know, my last note, I got one last thing here is, and then Diana steals the show.
Yeah.
There's a point in this comic where it becomes a Wonder Woman book. And the rest of it is a Wonder Woman book, and you can see where it's going. And
as much as Tom King packs themes in this book, the other thing he has said about this book, he wants to make it a book he would have picked up as a kid. He's like, as a kid, I read Wolverine, I read Batman. These are characters who are kicking ass, they look cool, I want to do that for Wonder Woman.
I gotta tell you, he's not doing it. This is not a children's book, and if you're like younger than like 12, I wouldn't suggest it to you. That's coming from a shop owner. I don't want you to pick up a book you're not going to enjoy. This is an adult title.
Yeah.
It's handling adult themes. This might be the most adult title DC's putting out right now.
And it's not even under Black Label or even rated for adults.
No, this is straight canon. Unbelievable stuff. The only thing I got left at all, not a note, just a question for Chris. Who do you think, who do you think not the bad guy is, but what do you think is happening here? What do you think is actually going on? What is Tom King bringing this to become? So I think it's all an orchestration from panel one. Okay. I think the big woman situation, I think has been orchestrated by somebody, maybe not our main bad guy.
I think it's the Sovereign.
But the Sovereign's the one telling us the story of how how they were defeated. So that they're trying to guide us away from that. But that might be a Tom Kingism that he's trying to like hide this so it's not as obvious or something.
And it's almost like the Sovereign in the future, because at the end of this book, the Sovereign's not going to be around. I feel like we're gonna. Right. We don't know.
We don't know.
But
the narration is coming from the future, 100% though.
And yes, and the Sovereign characters, I feel like are villain over the run. He is Bane. He is from the Batman run.
Right.
Tom King has talked about this is his Joker equivalent for Wonder Woman, at least in his eyes. This is her arch enemy. This is her perversion of everything she believes.
Yeah.
I think we're telling a pretty simple story, but ripping a bunch of themes from the headlines, a bunch of current social issues, and the way he does with all these books. With Rorschach.
Yeah.
Honestly, the thing that surprised me the most about this book, Tom King went through an era of writing political thrillers, and he will say this himself, he goes through eras of books. And we had moved past that before this one. Because we were doing Supergirl, we're doing Gotham Year One, we're doing...
Yeah, Superman up in the sky and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's eras of Tom King books that he talks about, and Supergirl is the start of a new one. I feel like Wonder Woman is the start of another one. He's back writing these political dramas.
Yes.
We'll see where the next couple books go.
To be honest with you, I don't know when he's not like bringing themes from adult stuff into his stuff.
Right, but
I'd argue that Supergirl is a political drama because it has a lead woman.
It is.
As ridiculous as that
sounds. But how he cites it is that was his era of optimism after an era of extreme pessimism and anger that come from Rorschach Adam Strange.
Sure. Okay.
I think that's it.
Yeah. Well, he didn't stay pessimistic or he didn't stay optimistic for very long.
No, this book is. We met him at the signing. The guy ahead of us, he's like, I love this cover. It's got jump on it. It's real fun. He's like, yeah, the inside of this book is nothing like this. This book is dour. You're not even going to see Wonder Woman half of the book.
He's a very honest man, and it shows through his writing. He's not trying to hide anything on you guys.
No.
This is worth $5 and more. This is worth $7, $8. They could have charged.
To be fair, I did pay $6 for this one. But again, it's worth that price and more.
Buy this book. Buy this book twice. Buy it in trade paperback. Buy the second issue of this book. Buy other Wonder Woman comics because this book is so good. Buy Wonder Woman Dead Earth because this book is so good. I don't care. This is great.
This guy, Tom King, writes perennial books. We're going to be in the year 2050, and people are going to be talking about Wonder Woman by Tom King, Batman by Tom King, Adam Strange by Tom King.
If people are still talking about comics.
The defining era of now is written by Tom